Good evening. Namaste. Let us become centered as we hear this gong. Let us move within and move into that space of our breath so that we are here now. So let us now become present right here in this moment. For in this moment is all that we could ever need and so much more. Right here in our body, mind, and soul is a power and presence that is so magnificent, so powerful, so loving, so giving that it has placed us here in the exact perfect place to reveal more good than we could ever imagine. So I bless this time, each of us, as together we move deeper into consciousness in the allness of God. And welcome to Wednesday night Amazing Grace service, where we're continuing along. We're utilizing a book called The Way of Mastery, and we're using it primarily just to, because it has 35 weeks and 35 principles. And the principles really, as in all spirituality, comes down to one thing, and that is love. But tonight's talk is about freedom. And freedom is a powerful concept. And the title of it is Freedom, Love of All Circumstances. It seems like for me in the last couple of years, ever since I discovered and really dug into Byron Katie is all about loving what is. And that seems difficult. You know, we can put our yes buts in there. Well, what about this bad thing and that bad thing and these horrible things that are happening? But as she says, all suffering comes about because of our resistance to what is. Buddhism, which is thousands of years old, says the same thing. All suffering is resistance to what is. The Tao says the same thing. Get into the flow. Though there's a flow that is God, get into it, resist not. All of the ancient wisdom says this. And so I find it kind of interesting that it's come into my spiritual growth in the last couple of years. But it's so interesting now because when I open Ernest Holmes and I open Joel Goldsmith and all of those that I've been studying for all these years, it's right there. And I didn't even see it. The evolution, that whole awareness of let go and let God. Freedom is the love of all circumstances. Resist not. So this chapter starts talking in The Way of Mastery. It starts talking about karma. And it puts it very clearly. You know, we're used to karma in religious science, cause and effect. But it says karma is the effect of how the mind is used. It's a sentence that they bring about that says, what must I have believed is true about the world to be living the life that I am living now? So karma is the effect of how the mind is used. So it's not something that we're not talking about in some past life and all of those kinds of things which may or may not be the way it is. But when we're talking in the here and now, in the cause and effect, we are forever setting in motion. As The Way of Mastery says, we're putting pebbles or stones that are pebbles into the pond that is creating waves always based on our thoughts. And it has two effects. It has an immediate effect and it has a long-term effect. The immediate effect, whenever we're thinking and things that we're in fear, or we're in jealousy, or we're in anger, or we're in frustration, or any of those diseased feelings, we feel it immediately in our body. In fact, our body chemistry changes immediately, and our whole body is affected by it. And if we hold on to that, if we don't acknowledge it or realize it, it just stays in there and it stores up for all of the times that we feel dis-ease and challenges. And then what happens is that life happens, something happens, and it's triggered. And we're constantly at the mercy of different triggers, of different emotions that we haven't processed that are inside of us. And they can turn into, over a long period of time, a sense of dis-ease. Sometimes we don't even know where it's coming from. But this karma that they're calling, the cause and effect, the aspect of our thinking, how we use our mind, meaning we are of this earth, we are in this time and space, we're going to feel anger, we're going to feel frustration, we're going to feel these things, but the spiritual journey and our journey is a journey of peace, a journey of awareness, as she spoke about, a journey of truth. And that is about being conscious and aware of what am I thinking, what causes am I setting in motion. It's about awareness of how we are using our mind. And we come into this world, and sometimes we get within us, we come through parents. It talks about in the Way of Mastery. We come through parents that are certain vibrational matches and have certain belief systems. Abraham talks about that too. Maybe your parents had belief systems about money that you're still living because you came through them. You stayed in that vibrational energy for a long period of time. It is stuff that is stored within us that if we haven't brought to the surface and examined and shined the light on, if you will, and the truth of it, then it is still operating in us. So the question that is asked is, what must I have believed is true about the world to be living the life I am living right now? Because we are living at the effect of our thoughts and our beliefs and our vibrational patterns from since we were born right now. So we ask the question, what must I have believed? Or what is it that I believe that is the effect of my life that I am living right now? And we don't ask that for a punishment standpoint or any of those things, but to shine the light on it and the awareness on it, and so that we can know the truth about it. The biggest thing that is very, very important for us to remember is that we never ever criticize anything that we have created. Way of Mastery puts it very well. It says, never regret what you have created. Appreciate what you have created. Wrap the arms of love around it. Thereby you will find a window, a doorway to the creation of the new use of the mind that must necessarily require the universe to rearrange itself to accommodate the new vibration that you are. The vibration of appreciation and love and unlimitedness require the universe to show up in a different way. So let me say that again. Never regret what you have created. Appreciate what you have created. Wrap the arms of love around it. Thereby you find a window or a doorway to the creation of the new use of the mind that must necessarily require the universe to rearrange itself to accommodate the new vibration that you are. Appreciation and love requires the universe to show up in a different way. In other words, karma is not your prison. Bringing your attention to the effects you create is a pathway to your greater freedom. So we appreciate. We take whatever is before us, whatever creation is before us. It's no big deal. It's what's before us. As the Way of Mastery says, everything is a stepping stone that is taking us to where it is that we want to be. So as Byron Katie says, and Eckhart Tolle says, resist nothing. Everything that is before us, love it, appreciate it. Because it is love that is transformational. It is love that changes the vibration, which requires the universe to bring to us something completely different. That is the power of love. So when we talk about karma and we talk about it, we hear it and all these different kinds of things, it is how we've used the mind. It is the effect. But what it really is, it is awareness. It is looking at our life and looking at the things that are created and saying, what is the absolute truth of me? That all that I create and all that I am is a stepping stone to take me to where I want to be. Therefore, I love it and I appreciate it. I embrace it. And we stand in that knowing that from that space, miracles happen. Course in Miracles says a miracle is a shift in perception. So when we resist not whatever is, when we love it and embrace it, life is different. New things happen. I'm reading right now, and I'm really loving the book that Rick read from, An Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And there's a chapter that he talks about in reference to pain. And he uses the example on the Oprah interview, he uses an example of a thorn. He said, all of us have pain. We've all had problems. We've all had things that have happened to us. And we've all embodied them. We haven't released them all. But what happens is that as we embody them, as we hold on to them, we start creating our lives and we start creating our world to protect ourselves from that pain. So, for example, let's say that we had the pain of somebody rejecting us. Somebody just didn't like us, or somebody treated us bad, or rejected us. What we end up doing, since that is a pain that we do not want to experience, when we embody it, what we end up doing is rearranging our entire life so that in all the circumstances that we go into, we make sure that the people there are safe, the people there will not reject us. We make sure we start changing our whole life to protect so nobody can push that painful button that will activate that again so that we feel that pain again. Then we actually watch in our life, and we learn how to act, and we learn what evokes pain and what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. We actually form our entire life around this whole thing of making sure that we don't feel that pain again. We even change how we dress. We change the hair that we have. We change everything about us to avoid pain. So when we're doing that kind of thing, avoiding that pain, the pain has taken over our lives. So in this book, in The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer talks about that we cannot be afraid of pain. That when we can resist not, when we can look at whatever shows up in our life, when we can actually step back and relax. So when pain comes up, when things start coming up, when pain is no big deal, when we know that we're going to be frustrated, we're going to be angry, we're going to have challenges, when we can step back and live life and allow pain and allow those things to come up, that I fear not, I resist not. It cannot control me. It cannot have power over me. It cannot destroy me. That these pains and things that I have, as we release them, then freedom starts to flow. So think about that. I was thinking about that, and since I have to be here and live out loud, I was thinking about how we rearrange our lives to not be rejected. That's a big one. I know in my family, as I grew up, it was very, very important that you didn't do stupid things, that you got in trouble. You know, when you were dumb, when you did something stupid, you didn't think, that wasn't smart. You know, I came from a dad who came from a dad who came from a dad, that was really important in life. Well, I'm not alone, I know, as I stand in this, because perfectionism is the #1 disease of this century. And it's showing up as all kinds of mental disorders, #1 being depression. And it's in that aspect of having to be perfect. And I know I have arranged my life to be perfect, to not create any challenges or any hassles or any of those kinds of things. So when you think about that and you think about how you embody that, he uses the example of a thorn. It's like getting a thorn in your arm that's stuck all the way down into your nerve and all of that. And so you do everything so that nobody touches it, so that nothing goes wrong, so that it doesn't hurt. When the answer is pull the thorn out. The answer is heal it. And how he talks about healing it is that instead of closing, See, normally what happens when somebody's in our space, when somebody's doing something that might make us feel unfair, when I'm seeing somebody that I know could hurt me or could reject me, I usually pull back, contract, and close. Protect myself. That's what we've all been taught to do. That's a natural thing to do. What Michael Singer's talking about is as we hold it in, it stays in. And think about all of those things that we are holding in that we protect ourselves for. And we've arranged our whole life around it. And what he is saying is that when you're not afraid of pain, when you're not afraid to experience anything, when you're living life wide open, when you're living life willing to see whatever it is, when you're living from that standpoint, you actually open and let it flow. Actually open and observe it. Actually open, he says, when you look at it, it is only energy flowing. Every experience is only energy. If you were to close and to hold it in, it has nowhere to go and it has nothing to do but trouble. But as we open up, then it literally has the ability to flow and flow through the body. So whatever fear that it is, you know, fear of rejection, fear of not being wanted, fear of not having enough money, fear of, just name them, of illness, of sickness, all of those fears, if we were to stand back and not fear the pain, if we were just a let be, then it would be flowing through us in a completely different way. I want to share with you how he puts that. He says we could end up devoting our whole life to the avoidance of pain, trying to manipulate the outside world when we could just heal our inner world, meaning just pull out the thorn. Then we would be free. To live at this level of freedom, we must learn to not be afraid of inner pain and disturbances. You must not be afraid of what others think, or of getting sick, or even dying, or anything that could go wrong. If you really want to enjoy life, you cannot spend your life avoiding the myriad of things that might hurt your mind or your heart. You must look inside and say, from now on, pain is not a problem. It's a temporary experience. We must become comfortable with it so that we don't devote our life to avoiding it, so we don't close. The wise person permits the world to be what it is instead of being afraid of the world and all that happens in it. If life does something that causes a disturbance inside, instead of closing or pushing it away, let it pass through you like the wind. At any moment, we can feel frustrated, fear, anger, insecurity. Don't fight the feelings, but do the opposite of closing and contracting. Relax and release. Relax your heart and your whole body. It is just energy. Be present with it. Don't fear it. Let it go right on by. If you close and stop it by passing through, it will stay in you. We all have pain stored in our hearts, but to truly be free, we must let it go. So think about that as something to really contemplate is, how are we protecting ourselves? What are the things that we are doing? He offers a test in there. He says we do it with our weight, we do it with all kinds of things. He says, imagine somebody coming up to you and saying something like, I don't like you. And ask yourself if that causes you pain or a disturbance. It would. But does that make you rearrange everything that you are and all that you do to avoid something like that? Or can you simply step back and see the truth of it, that not everybody's going to like me and that I'm still a good person? And can we love ourselves no matter what? Powerful concept. So when he talks about love, is loving all, or freedom, is loving everything, every experience, all conditions, fighting not, resisting not, loving all that is unfolding in the world. As we are willing to look at ourselves, as we are willing to be honest with ourselves, as we are willing to feel the feelings that we're feeling, as we're willing to admit our insecurities, as we're willing to just have any emotion, fear, anger, anxiety, frustration, but not call it me, not protect ourselves, not try to avoid it, but to just be this open, pure vessel that life is moving through in all of its glory and all of its expressions, and we just allow life to move through us. What happens is healing happens within us and freedom flourishes. Because then you have freedom to do anything in life. You have freedom to talk to anybody. You have freedom to experience anything. You have freedom to feel. You have freedom to see the awe. You have freedom to see beauty. You have freedom to be right here in the now. You have freedom to love. And you have freedom to be in peace. We don't give our power away. We just are, because life, as Reverend Rick read in that reading, all of those things that are happening, we are the observer that's standing back, observing it and watching it. None of those experiences can hurt us. None of those experiences have power over us. None of those experiences have any power or value except for the value and power that we give it, because that I am is forever, it is powerful, it is always there, it is flowing, it is eternal, and cannot and will not be harmed, hurt, or touched. So can we stand in remembering that truth of the I am, which is that observer that's observing all things. And that I am that is observing all things is the same I am that is within every single one of us, that is watching life. Then, instead of creating a life that avoids pain, we step into life that is joy and love and peace and awe and harmony and abundance and wholeness and well-being. No matter what the circumstances are, all of that exists, no matter what the earthly circumstance is. It is all right there. That's a spiritual journey. That's the truth of who we are. God. God is, I am. I accept it right now, knowing that everything that unfolds in my experience is a stepping stone to take me closer to that I am, that I am, that I am. Let us turn within. Taking a big breath together and releasing it. The beauty of this is that we get to close our eyes. And when we close our eyes, we're not distracted by the world. We're not distracted by all of that that's happening outside of us. We get to move within to that place of the observer, to that place of the I am. And I claim right here and right now for each and every one of us that God is that beauty, that love, that peace, that harmony, that well-being, that wisdom, that guidance, that experience. And every experience and all unfoldment is absolutely perfect, because it all is transformational, it is all a greater good, and it is taking us to a greater and a grander expression than we have ever experienced before. It is divine, it is perfect, it is who and what I am. And so I know that each of us walk on holy ground. Something powerful and something magnificent is. No matter if we forget, no matter what is going on, I just lean back, relax, release, and let go and let God. What a magnificent life we are in. What a magnificent I am that I am. And so it is. Amen. Okay. We'll bring all of us in this circle too. And let us move within into that one mind, that space of consciousness, that place of truth, that place of all-knowing. Let's raise up our vibration and move past this earthly plane and all of these experiences and move up into that place of truth. Move it up to that higher experience where we see it from the divineness. We see all experiences just as we've spoke about, as those stepping stones that are taking us to and where we want to be. Judging not by appearances, judging not by what has been unfolding, but knowing that right there is the center, is the wisdom, is the allness, is the peace, is the harmony, is the love, is the intelligence of the entire universe, right in the very center of each circumstance, each individual, each name spoken. There's something transformational, something powerful that is happening right there. So we give thanks as things come to our awareness, for we know that it's from there that we flood it with love, and the universe has no choice but to call unto us a greater expression, a greater good, and a transformation. All challenges end up transformed and taking us to that place of wholeness and peace and love and God and good. And so I know that's true for each of us and each individual name that is spoken here tonight. For all of those that walk this planet and for all that is unfolding, that we never walk alone, that we are guided and guarded, and something powerful and intelligent goes before us to make those crooked places straight. And so I just give thanks for this truth as I release this word into that eternal yes, knowing that it is done. And so it is. Amen. May you always feel the embrace of God. May your life reflect joy and abundance and wholeness. May your heart radiate with love and light. May you know that your every step is guarded and guided. And may you feel, sense, and know God's amazing grace. For it is in, through, and around us always, and in all ways. God bless you all. Go forth in peace. Good night.